Hey, this is Jeff Phillips, CEO of Accountingfly and Going Concern. I hope you're doing great. Hey, so part of our mission is keeping our audience updated on changing trends. We want to be talking about anything that pertains to your career, right, and changing trends inside the profession. So today we're going to be talking about cloud accounting firms, the rise of cloud accounting firms, what they are, and what kind of career opportunities are available there. Who are they looking to hire? And so there's no one else that I'd rather start that conversation with than my friend Bruce Phillips. And Bruce is the CEO of HPC. So HPC is one of the sort of early adopter cloud accounting firms. And I'm so excited to have Bruce with me today. So Bruce, how you doing?
Great. Thanks. I'm glad to be here, Jeff, as always.
Bruce, just to kick things off, what is a cloud accounting firm? And in your words, how's a cloud accounting firm different from traditional CPA firms?
Well, the cloud accounting firm started at the beginning of the decade. And, and it used to be that to do accounting, and the firms actually did accounting, tax, and audit, right? That was your traditional firm before they started getting into all the ancillary services. So with regards to the accounting, we used to send people out to our clients that worked on their ledger in their office space. And then it kind of evolved to where they might have been sending us a disk, or we might have been logging in through a remote server. And that's kind of the whole thing. But this is the outsourced accounting part of the traditional accounting firm. And then we had the advent of the internet and the cloud software. So now all of a sudden, there was one single source of data. And it could be Xero, it could be Intuit and FreshBooks. There's all kinds of companies that came out with the idea of the data. But because the data is centralized, the accountant and the client can utilize and look at and work on the same data at the same time, right? So what happens? Now, all of a sudden, you're working on the same data. You're trying to figure out what to do with the data. And over time, I kind of realized that I'm in the data business. I'm not necessarily an accountant anymore. So instead of sending people out to clients and swapping disks and all the old ways of doing things, now the data lives in the cloud through these central points of information, all of which are connected through these APIs where the data can move back and forth between bills and payroll and receivables and you name it, right? And basically, it doesn't even matter where the client is or where my people are because we're all just accessing all the data through the cloud. And here we are today. We're in the information business, or the data business, however you want to say it. And basically, in my opinion, who's going to win is who knows how to get the data, manipulate the data, present the data, have insights about the data, and then talk to the clients about what they can really do with this new information that they used to get 6 months after and it was not meaningful. Now they're getting data real time on their phone that's meaningful. Way more than being an accountant.
So then translate that into what HPC is now in 2018, your business.
Right. So HPC is and I'm going to call it first of all, we're virtual, but you don't have to be virtual to be a cloud accounting firm. There's plenty of cloud accounting firms that are not virtual. And there's definitely some advantages to having people in the same office, no question.
Right.
And virtual, we've done a video on virtual. It has its advantages and it has its challenges, right? So what is HPC? So we're basically a full service. You can call it cloud accounting firm. We kind of call ourselves tech savvy accountants and CPAs was what we were calling ourselves 3 or 4 years ago. And now actually, I think it's becoming more that we're really business advisors. And that business advisors is what we're going to do with that data that I told you that now we have access to. And so business advisors can mean accounting advisor, can mean general business advisor for different industries as you get specialized. It can mean tax advisor and all the things that go into income and sales and registrations and all the things it takes to do business, right? So basically, we're tech savvy advisors that happen to be accountants and CPAs. And with us, we have everything from bookkeepers to administrators to project managers to data analysts to accountants to CFOs, controllers, and then different kinds of people with different kinds of tax skills. We have all of that under one roof.
And everyone is virtual.
For my company, everyone is virtual. Our head count as of last thing, and we're at 33 now. Some of which is thanks to you.
Thank you. And we're even talking. You're in a WeWork room in Boston today, right?
I'm in my little phone booth in the Boston South Station WeWork today. Very comfortable.
All right. So let's talk about the profession then in general. How are cloud accounting firms changing the overall accounting profession?
So, and I've talked to a lot of people about this. I've been having now the debate about, you know, not, not it's whether do you need to be a CPA or not a CPA, or do you need to be a CPA firm or not a CPA firm? But, if you're really in the data business and you're really getting away from attestation, which is basically audits and reviews, which I sold my practice 10 years ago, that I realize that still generates quite a bit of revenue for the bigger firms.
Right.
But for smaller firms, more and more people are getting away from the attestation, right? So, so what that means is instead of being an independent public accountant, which you need to be to do that, you basically can do tax. Anybody can do tax returns, although, I think there's more credibility, obviously, with CPAs or enrolled agents or things like that. But the current firms that I think are stuck in the old model of delivering a monthly accounting package by however they're doing it, whether they're getting stuff from the client or logging in or even doing it through the cloud and still giving a financial statement every month, in a year or two, they're going to be dinosaurs, in my opinion, because the clients don't necessarily care about their financial statements. It used to be they got them so far after the fact they weren't helpful to them. Now there's so much other information that's more meaningful to them than what's in a balance sheet and an income statement that they'd rather have the other information, especially if they can get it real time, right?
Right.
So
Right.
in my opinion, the whole client delivery service model of whether you call it bookkeeping or write-up or monthly financial statements is basically going to change. And we're changing it like drastically because I believe, as I said, we're in the data and information business. And the clients, yeah, they need to care about a balance sheet, and some people care about it, but what they care about more is some of the information that's on the balance sheet and what it means.
Right.
Not the balance sheet itself.
Can you talk a little more about, you said, you mentioned the client service model. So all of this change is impacting the client service model. So can you go a little bit deeper there and talk about, what that means in your own business and how you see that changing in the future?
So client service model is basically what's important to the client, client-centric. Like my good friend Doug Sleedy used to talk about being client-centric, right? What's client-centric? They don't care what it takes for us to do the work and give them what they need. All they care about is getting what they need in a timely manner. They don't care what we do or how we do it, which is a reason why we've gone away from, basically we're completely, fixed fee and value billing now. No more time-based, because when we use all this technology to save time, all it does is cost us money. So, but by basically reducing the fees, right? So being client-centric, what does that mean? Giving the client what they want, when they want it, how they want it. Some clients want to log in. Some clients want it in email. Some people want to be able to pick it up and look at it on their phone. Some people want to communicate by text. Some want email. Some need a voicemail. But you think about being client-centric, everybody's different, right? Well, as you get to these entrepreneurial, what do you call them, millennials or whatever, they want to be communicated the way they live. You can't, they're not looking to go to your office and drop off their stuff. They expect to upload it. That's what they do. So you need to be prepared to be able to accept it through a box or a smart vault or a Dropbox. That's an example of being client-centric.
And so HPC, where is HPC in terms of being able to deliver the information where and when the client needs it?
I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, we're probably, I'd say at this point, between a 6 and a 7. We have the tools, we're using them, but I think, and we're in the process right now of changing what we deliver, because I believe that we want to move more to the financial and operational data from financial statements. What matters?
What I think is really great. And I know you guys work with entrepreneurial companies, among a lot of other different industries, but you can be a true advisor. Real-time data delivered the way the client wants it. You're acting like a CFO inside a company, not just, and this is not a data entry conversation. This is an advisory conversation.
And it's not even just the CFO stuff, because the CFO stuff, and we've been having this debate too, we're helping them with fundraising, and we might be helping them, figure out their cap table. We may be helping them figuring out their strategy and how they price and, who are they selling to and what's their market? That's general business stuff. That's not even really, I mean, some of it's financial related, but it's also non-financial related. So I think it's more than just CFO, and I'm struggling even with that CFO title because it's almost like, I don't want to call it a data analyst because that's probably at the other end, too far to the other end of the spectrum. But it's really it's an advisor. And you can put what you want on that advisor, but and it's not a financial advisor because when you think about financial advisor, you think about someone who works at Morgan Stanley or something. That's your financial advisor, right?
Right.
So it's not really a financial advisor, but it is a financial advisor in a way. But it's also an operational advisor and someone who gets what drives your business and helps you accomplish whatever goals they are, which could be making money, could be growing to sell, could be trying to get everything efficient so you can spend more time with your family.
See, from where I sit, I think about millennial CPAs that are thinking about their career options and not really sure where to go next. And I picture them getting excited about this opportunity, using some background and training they have and their education they have, but really working in a company like yours where they can actually make a huge difference as an advisor and all using all the tools you described. So here's my question: is clearly we are in the middle of change, and how does all this change impact the type of person that firms are looking for, given what cloud accounting firms are doing?
Not to be stereotypical, but I think the old style button down shirt with the pocket thingy going on is gone because you're sitting there on video. Most of the time you're sitting there on video. In all honesty, we do most of our stuff through video call like this, and so I mean it's got to be a little personality. You have to be able to talk to people. So there's some people skills involved, which kind of goes directly against the whole social media and millennials, I know, in some ways, but there's definitely some social skills involved and people skills. But I also think it's really valuable, and I still believe, getting an accounting degree and having that accounting background knowledge, regardless of what you're doing, is incredibly helpful because you don't have to know all the accounting, but at least having a little bit of accounting background, now it helps you interpret the data and know that if the data is not right, the advice is going to be wrong, right? So you got to have accurate data. So these people that we're looking for, I'd say, personality, people skills, tech savviness, of course, because you got to be able to use the tools and be able to, do the things that we do. But I think, I think most importantly, they need to be resourceful and think on their feet. They need to want to learn because there's lots of information now that you can get. Being resourceful is you're amazed what you can find out in 5 seconds. It may not be authoritative, but it needs to be, but you can find quite a bit out. And that, and I think those people with those skills, and when you add one key thing in, and we haven't talked about this at all today, is as HPC has gotten what I call more verticalized, because if you want to add value to your clients, you need to know what they do. You're not just being an accountant, you need to know what they do. So one of our specialties is SaaS, software as a service. Anybody selling a subscription, and we've talked about this before. And basically, we can share best practices that if one of my accountants has 25 SaaS companies around the world, they can take what's working for some and tell the others and say, hey, you know what? I have another client who does this way. Oh, wow, I never thought of that. Or they use this tool. So the industry specialization to me is kind of the next really big thing. So we're really pushing to industry specialization to the point that when I talk about what kind of people, if you can take all those skills we talked about and add in some industry specialized knowledge, I'm vowing if you bring me those people, it's a grand slam.
You know what I'm hearing though? It's not necessarily a CPA that you have to have. There are attitudes and skill sets and personalities and expertises that you're looking for even before you get to the credential. Is that fair?
That is correct. Not to say that, as a company and us, we have CPAs and you want CPAs and, do you need a CPA to do your tax return? No. Do you want one? Probably yes.
Yeah.
Is there value to the client of having a CPA do their tax return? Yes. But do you need a CPA to go over your metrics and KPIs with you? No, not necessarily. You'd rather have someone who has some experience and knows about your business. and knows how to get the data and interpret the data, that we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the old from, and I'm going to date myself, 35 years ago. It's the old management accounting stuff without the internet back then.
Well, so I mean, HPC is an accounting firm. I wouldn't, but obviously so much more, because you show me you're in the data business. But
we're a technology company.
You really are. Yeah, you really are a technology company, and
that happens to do accounting.
But you don't have to have accountants come in and do this work, right?
Not all accountants. I think you need some CPAs and some accountants, some data people, some advisors. And what you do is, if you can get the mix of putting those together in teams to serve your clients, grand slam.
Grand slam.
That's what we're trying to do.
What's cool is that the staffing model of the future, the staffing model of cloud accounting firms, has a variety of skill sets that include a CPA, probably include an EA, but have also technologists, data scientists, customer service support people,
project managers, making sure all the things are organized and everything gets done for compliance that needs to get done. Absolutely. You need all of that. Not just the one size fits all that was the case, 10, 20 years ago.
Let me put you on the spot and ask you the question. If somebody's watching this who has an accounting background, but they're getting fired up about your business model, where can they learn more about cloud accounting in general? What are just some starting points for them to start to learn more about this industry?
I think there's I would say the publications are doing a decent job. There's a lot of good stuff out there, whether it be the AICPA and Accounting Web, and there's all kinds of organizations out there that I think are trying to move towards this. And even the software companies now are doing a great company. Xero has a whole Xero education thing. I'm sure Intuit does the same thing. There's tons of self-help and stuff on the Gusto platforms and the HubDoc platforms. It's a lot of education. You look at something even like Carbon that has all the workflow and data analysis and everything in it. They all have an educational component that I think can really help. And those are the tools that you're going to use to be able to deliver the service that we're talking about. But I think it's just having an open mind, learning, and being resourceful, and and then of course saying, this is what I want to do. With us, there's a double bonus in that you get to work wherever you want, versus having to go to an office or click or check a time clock. Because we don't even keep time anymore. That's a whole nother series, part of the series.
That's a whole other video, and that's music to my ears, by the way. The last thing you mentioned was you kind of you mentioned about the virtual employees, virtual teams again. And so I want to ask you one thing about managing a virtual company. I manage a virtual company as well.
Right.
But you used to have an office. I think it was in Atlanta. Now you're a completely virtual firm. Tell me something you wish you had known 5 years ago when you went virtual that now that you didn't know then about running a virtual team.
So there's a couple things. One is, onboarding employees and training employees in a virtual environment is really difficult. And I'm not saying, well, what do I knew it, but you don't really realize how difficult it is. We've gotten better at it, and we have to do certain things. Don't underestimate the power of some in-person stuff. We've actually started with some of the people of actually flying them around when they start, just to get off on the right footing, let them get some of the personality and the culture, even though we're virtual. So don't underestimate the person-to-person part. Just because you can talk on video and do stuff and share screens all day, doesn't mean that. The second thing is, and it's almost like it's gone full circle. You've gone from being in an office to being never seeing each other, never meeting each other, to now I'm saying it's important to see each other. So what we've done is we just did our first one, and I'm very proud of it. We did our first kind of offsite. We called it HPC West. And since we have people all over the country, I go around and basically in different parts of the country and rent a place and bring people in to build some of the culture and camaraderie and bonding and working together. In this case, it was a 4-bedroom house, a couple blocks from the beach in Southern California in the middle of the winter. And we flew in, I don't know how many people came in over time, but we had like 2 and then 4 and then 3 and different groups within the company. but to be together. Got a ton done and bonded. Great ideas come out of it because you're eating dinner together and you're having margaritas together and you're up in the morning walking on the beach together. You know, just like, don't underestimate that. And culture is everything. You've heard me say that before. Culture is everything. That's the first thing we interview for. We don't care about the skills. If you're not going to be a culture fit, you're not going to get hired by HBC.
Right. Stick to that. This is the third video that we've done over the past 3 or 4 years, Bruce, and it's really fun to see how far HBC has come. Fun to see how far Accountingfly has come, and also, more importantly, where this industry is going. It's not. We're not talking about the future anymore. We're talking about the present.
It is here, and and you've been, to give you a little bit of a shout out. You've been great, and we've been kind of telling you. When I remember when we first started working together, it was like, well, I can't advertise in this city or that city. I can have somebody anywhere. You need to think about changing your model, Jeff. Because you did, your credit, and you're working it out. Just like we keep changing our model, you keep changing your model to help companies like us. And because we can hire anywhere now, we need to, post everywhere. And it's very different than the old model where you put something on Craigslist or on LinkedIn or in a paper, in a specific city. It doesn't work like that anymore.
It doesn't work. I'll tell you what, HBC is hiring and probably always looking for great talent. And if you're watching this, you can learn more about HBC at their website. You can find out who they're hiring on their website and on Accountingfly. Bruce, I know we're going to do another one of these in a couple of years, or next year, I'm sure. And it's going to be fun to see how much entrepreneurial traction has happened and been accomplished over the past year. But I wish you well. Thanks for being here, and it's great to see you.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for doing this. As always, we appreciate it. And we got some big growth plans this year. That's good for everybody.
Hey, let's get to work. You guys can check out HBC. Please look them up. Please reach out to Bruce and his awesome team, and we thank you for watching. Bye for now.
HPCEPA.com. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jeff.